when you're reading a book in class and you're doing it along with the class, it's important to make sure you either don't read behind or read ahead, because then that's not fair to the rest of the class, and then also it's also your own fault that you didn't catch up or you're ahead and you don't know where you're at. Hi everybody, it's Mena. Welcome back to my channel, or if this is the very first video that you're seeing of me, then welcome to my channel. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you didn't already. I post Tuesday through Sunday, and today in this video, I have a story for you, double story time for you guys today. It's a Dingus and double story time. I have Dingus right here with me. So today's Dingus and double story time is going to be the time two of my classmates made the mistake of either being left behind when reading a book or going ahead and not knowing what page we were on instead of sticking with what page the whole class was on. So this is a story about how two of my classmates either didn't read the book, or one of my classmates didn't read a book, and then the other one decided to go so far ahead that he didn't know what page we were on. And so they had to either figure out on their own time that what page the class was on. So this is a story just to teach you guys that when you're reading along with your class, like a book, you have to pay attention to what chapter the class is on, so then you can continue reading the book and just make sure you know what page you're on, so then you can just stick with the class and then finish the chapter with the class, just to make it easier for your teacher and the rest of your class. And it's not fair that you go ahead and then get lost and then you got to read the whole chapter again. So you made more work for yourself. So I'm going to get started, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. First story. So this one started about 20 years ago. I was in the 7th grade. My English class, back when I had the same teacher for math and English, I ended up later on having a different English teacher because my math/English teacher went on to only teaching math later on. Anyway, so I had this teacher who was like my math and English teacher. Like I said, later on, she ended up being my math teacher, just my math teacher later. And we were reading the book, Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry. So I don't know if you guys know the book. I don't remember the name of the author because I haven't read the book in so long. But I remember reading it, and it took place during a time of segregation. I think that book took place in the 60s. I don't remember, but I was reading this book for class, and as we're reading the book, this one kid in my class suddenly tells my teacher,
I didn't finish the book.
Actually, I meant to say he didn't finish the chapter, because my teacher would have us read part of the chapter in the class, and if we didn't finish it read part of the book with us, and then she would have us read it on our own, and then if we didn't finish the chapter, we had to finish it for homework. So this one kid was like pretty far behind, and everyone else in my class had finished the chapter, and my teacher looks at him like, and then she tells him,
well, it looks like you're gonna have to finish it for homework.
So I kind of felt bad for this kid, but at the same time, it was his own fault that he didn't finish the chapter for homework like he was supposed to. So he ended up having to finish the chapter on his own when everybody else had already finished the chapter before him. And then I felt and like I said, I did feel bad for this kid because he did not finish the chapter, but he definitely learned his lesson to do his reading when he was supposed to. So he did, like I said, he ended up finishing the chapter for homework because he forgot to read it the night before. And sometimes that does happen, but luckily this kid learned his lesson not to get behind when reading a chapter book with the class. Story number 2, moving on. So this story actually takes place, I think, a couple weeks after the first story I just told. We were reading Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry, and we were in class and we were reading. And then all of a sudden, my teacher asked this one kid to read. And this kid literally looks confused, like, and then he asks,
"What page are we on?"
So the reason this kid was asking what page we were on was because he had accidentally read way too far in the chapter and he lost track of what page we were on in the book. And so my teacher tells the kid that he shouldn't have read the chapter and waited until class to read the chapter because he accidentally read way too far ahead to the point where he had no idea where the class was and he didn't stay with the class and which chapter the class was reading. So he got confused of what page we were on. So I don't know why he read so far ahead and got lost, but it was just like made more work for my teacher to have to help him with the class. Figure out what chapter he's on. So she made him reread the whole chapter for his homework just so he could figure out what page we were on in the class. And that made it a little hard for my teacher and that made it a little hard for the kid. But this kid definitely also learned his lesson not to read so far ahead that you don't know what page the class is on. Always stick with what the class is reading. So the moral of the story is when you're reading a book with your class, and you're reading a certain chapter, you should always pay attention to when you need to finish the chapter on your own. And you should also pay attention to what chapter you're reading in the book. So then you can keep track of what page you're on. And I understand we all easily get lost, especially when you're reading the book on your own. But it's just really important to stay with the class when reading a book, unless you have to finish the book on your own. But if you're reading a book with the class and you have to finish the rest of it for homework, you have to finish it and then not read so far ahead that you don't know what page your class is on. So that was a frustrating story about the time I was reading a book with my class and 2 of my classmates either didn't finish the book or went so far ahead that they didn't know what page they were on. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I hope this video taught you that when you're reading a book with your class, Dingus fell asleep while making a YouTube video with me. Anyway, so when you're reading a book with your class, you have to make sure you're where the class is when you're reading the book, so then you don't get so behind or don't get so far ahead that you don't know what page you're on. So, because then you're gonna have to like finish it on your own time, and that's gonna make more work for you. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I post Tuesday through Sunday, and I'll see you in another video soon. Bye! I wave bye with Dingus, but she's falling asleep in my lap right now. Bye! If you want more story times with me or Humphrey, please subscribe to Mena's YouTube channel and also like this video if you enjoy story times with me and Humphrey. Sorry. Also, if you would like, follow Mena on Instagram and follow Humphrey at Humphrey's World 007. Bye-bye. Uh-oh.